Hello guys, in this video we are going to solve the previous year questions of work per energy. So this is your host Ritwik from IB360 and let's just get started. So over here let us proceed with the first question. So over here it is given that a force of 20 plus 10y acts on a particle in the y direction where F is the force in Newton and y is the meter. So we need to find the work done by the particle from y is equal to 0 to y equal to 1. So over here typically we are used to solve using x variable, right? But over here y variable is given, so this might quite cause a fuss among some of you people. So see how we'll deal with that. Okay, so first of all, work done is defined as integration of f dot ds vector, where f vector is the force vector and ds vector is the change in the position vector. Okay, you usually write work done is equal to integration of f dot dx. This is not the case. Okay, so this is a general version, so this may be true, may not be true sometimes. Okay, so it's better to avoid this one and it's useful to write this one. And how can we solve using this one? Let us see in this question. Okay, so over here work done is integration of f dot ds. Now over here what did I mention? Ds vector. Ds vector, that is the change in the position vector. Okay, so that is r2 vector minus of r1 vector. What is r2 vector? R2 vector is nothing but the final position coordinate. And what is r1 vector? R1 vector is nothing but the initial position coordinate. Okay, so what do I mean by that? Let me just explain. Okay, so suppose there is a particle, the particle that is at 0 comma 0. Okay, and finally the particle went to dx comma dy. Okay, so the particle traveled a very small amount of distance and it went from 0 comma 0 to dx comma dy. Okay, so that means what is the final position coordinate over here? The final position coordinate of the particle is nothing but dx comma dy, right? So that means this is nothing but dx I cap plus dy j cap. Okay, and what is the initial position coordinate? That is your r1 vector. R1 vector will be nothing but, see, initially where the particle is at 0 comma 0, so what will be r1 vector? 0 I cap plus 0 j cap. So from here our ds vector, that is the displacement vector, comes out to be, so from here our ds vector comes out to be dx minus of 0 I cap plus dy minus of 0 j cap. So that means our ds vector is nothing but dx I cap plus dy j cap. So this is a very important relation, you have to keep this in mind. Okay, I'm elaborating with the help of this, but in the examination you do need to keep this equation in mind. It will help you a lot, mind my words. Okay, so over here see that the particle is actually moving from y equal to 0 to y equal to 1. Okay, so what does it tell? So that means the particle isn't moving along the x-axis. That what it's tell, right? The particle actually isn't moving in the x-axis, right? So that means if the particle is not moving in the x-axis, the change in the position of the particle in the x-axis will be 0, right? So that means there will be no change in the position of the particle in the x-axis. So that means our ds vector over here, in the ds vector our dx term will get 0. So that means our ds vector will come out to be dy j cap. Voila. Okay, so that means our ds vector, so that means we solve from previous, our ds vector will be nothing but dy j cap, right? And what is the force vector? Force is given as 20 plus 10y, right? So over here you can see that the force is clearly acting in the y-axis. Why? Because the magnitude of the force is actually dependent only on y, right? Only on the y-axis. So that means our force vector will be this multiplied by j cap, right? Magnitude into unit vector, that will be our force vector. Okay, so that means over here we got ds vector as dy j cap and force vector as 20 plus 10y j cap, right? So that means our work done will be integration of f dot ds, right? So that means this is 20 plus 10y j cap dot, what is ds vector now? Dy j cap. Okay, and the particle is actually moving from y equal to 0 to y equal to 1, so that is quite obvious. The limit of this integral will be from 0 to 1. So over here the work done comes out to be integration of 0 to 1. So over here j dot j is nothing but 1. You already know this. So that means 20 plus 10y dy. I took quite a lot of steps to reach this point. Okay, others may have done it in a single step, but I took the initiative to reach to this step with a lot of insights. So keep the insights in mind. These are the concepts that you need to learn from a question. You don't solve a question, you learn the concepts from the question. So that concept is very much important. You need to know that concept in mind. Okay, so that means work done will be integration of 0 to 1, 20 plus 10y di. So that now it's actually a cakewalk. So you can easily solve this. So work done will be so it will be 0 to 1, 20 dy plus 10 integration of 0 to 1, no sorry, I just written 10 over here, y dy. Okay, so over here work done will be equal to, so what is dy integration? So dy integration is y, so 1 minus of 0 I'm directly putting, plus 10 y dy is y square by 2, so limit is 0 to 1. Okay, so on solve this, so this will come out to be 20 plus so what is so over here 10, so put the limits, so 1 square by 2 minus 0 square divided by 2, right? So from here on solving you get will be 25. Okay, so that means the net work done comes out to be your 25 joule. So it's a very good question. It provided a lot of insight about how to find actually work done. Work done is not simply f dot dx, it's a complicated thing, and I hope that you learn the question as well as the concept. So over here on concluding the question, so over here the answer will be 25 joule. So proceeding on to the next question, a particle is released from the height s from the surface of the earth. So at a certain height its kinetic energy is 3 times its potential energy. The height from the surface of the earth and the speed of the particle at that instant. So over here this question came in NEET 2020. It's a good question. It combines your knowledge of work per energy and also a little bit of gravitation, though it's not required in this question. It seems it be required, but it isn't required. Okay, so let's just solve this question. So over here the most interesting way or the most fundamental way that you need to solve this kind of problems is by drawing. Just create a visual representative of what you are dealing with. Okay, that makes the problem much easier. Okay, so over here it states that the particle is actually released from the height s. Okay, so over here let's just take this as the ground. Okay, so with this be the ground, so suppose this is the point A is s. Okay, so now what is saying, at a certain height its kinetic energy is 3 times its potential energy. Okay, B, so let the certain height be a value of h from the ground. Okay, so at this point, and let us name this point as point B. So what they are telling is that at this point the kinetic energy at B is 3 times the potential energy at B. Okay, suppose at the point B we have velocity. Suppose at the point B the velocity of the particle be v. Okay, so that means what will be the kinetic energy of the particle at point B? Nothing but half mv square, right? So half mv square is nothing but 3 times the potential energy at B. Okay, so we have taken the height of the B to be small h, right? So what is the potential energy of the particle at the point B? Nothing but mgh, right? So mgh. So that means we get that half mv square will be 3 times of mgh. So from here we get that v square will be equal to your 6gh. So this is our first relation. Okay, so this relation we got on reading the question and solving. Okay, so now for second relation we need to apply energy conservation between the points A and B. Any question on gravitation, any question on work per energy, think that if energy conservation can be applied. Okay, so over here energy conservation can be easily applied, right, between points A and point B. Okay, so if I just write over here, what will be the, So what does the energy conservation states actually? That the total energy initial will be equal to the total energy final, right? And what is the total energy initial? Means potential energy initial plus kinetic energy initial. So this will be potential energy final plus kinetic energy final. Okay, so see, at point A, the ball is just dropped, right? The ball is just dropped, so that means the velocity of the ball is 0 at point A. Okay, so the kinetic energy of the body at point A will be 0, right? As velocity is 0, the kinetic energy will be obviously 0, right? So that means at point A our initial kinetic energy is 0. Okay, so what is the now comes our potential energy at point A, right? So what is the potential energy at point A? See, the point A is at a height of S from the ground, right? And what is potential energy? mgh, where h is the distance from the ground or the reference line. So that means this will be equal to our mgs. Okay, so this will be equal to the final kinetic energy plus the final potential energy. Final potential energy will be, I am not repeating, it is at a distance of h, right, at point B. So that means it will be mgh plus, what is the final kinetic energy? The final kinetic energy, so that means the kinetic energy at point B, right? And the velocity of the particle at point B we have considered to be v, right? Remember from here, right? So that means this will be equal to your plus of half m v square. So that means from here our v square comes out to be 2g s minus of h. Okay, so that means our v square is equal to 6gh and also v square is equal to 2g s minus of h. And as they are both equal, we can write that 6gh will be equal to 2g s minus of h. So from here we'll get that 3h will be equal to s minus of h. So from here our 4h comes out to be s. So that means our h, that is the height, will be s by 4, right? So that means this will be our required height, where the kinetic energy will be, where the kinetic energy will be 3 times of the potential energy, right? We have easily found the height. So now what we need to find? The velocity of the particle at this particular height. Okay, how can you find this? Easy. We got v square equal to 6gh, put h over here, we'll find v, right? Very easy, right? I'm just rubbing this to make some space so that I can solve the. So over here our h is s by 4, so that means our v squared, will be 6 times of g times of s by 4, right? So that means the velocity will be under root of 6gs by 4. So that means our velocity will be under root of 3gs by 2. So that means our height h is s by 4 and our velocity v is under root of 3gs by 2. So that means the correct answer will be option number 3. So I hope you got to learn a lot from this question. So proceeding on to the next question. So this question is from motion in a vertical circle. So a point mass m is moved in a vertical circle of radius small r with the help of a string. The velocity of the mass is under root of 7gr at the lowest point. So we need to find the tension at the lowest point. So over here this particle is of mass m. The particle is actually traveling in this manner, right? So it's traveling in this manner, and this is actually the lowest most position of the particle, and the particle is tied to the center with the help of this string. Okay, so it's stating that the particle at this position is moving in this direction at a speed of under root of 7gr. Okay, so 7g small r. Okay, and so where small r is the radius of the particle from the center. Okay, so that means we need to find the tension at the lowest most position. So first of all, this is the lowest most position. So we need to find the tension in this string in this configuration. So we know that tension always acts away from the body. Okay, so for this particle of mass m, the tension will be away from the body and it will be T, right? And the weight of the body is actually acting downward, right, due to gravity. And the particle is actually accelerating towards the center. centripetal acceleration. So the particle is actually accelerating towards the center. Okay, so that means the acceleration of the particle is nothing but towards the center, which is the centripetal acceleration, which is nothing but v squared by small r, where small r is the radius. Okay, so over here the v square is given to be, so over here v is given to be under root of 7gr. So v square will be 7gr by r. So the centripetal acceleration will be 7g. So now it's very easy. Over here you can see that this is the ball of mass m. The tension T is acting upward, weight mg is acting downward, and the centripetal acceleration, that is AR, is nothing but 7g. Okay, so writing Newton's laws of motion, net force along the y-axis T minus mg, right? So this will be equal to the mass into acceleration, where mass is m and acceleration is 7g. So from here the tension comes out to be 8 mg. Okay, so that means the correct option to this question number 37, will be option number 4, 8 mg. So over here in this question there is an object of mass 500 gram. So over here the main concept behind this question is work done will be nothing but the net area under the graph. Net area under the fx graph, right? So over here first of all identify the graph. So over here F, that is the force, is plotted in the y-axis, and over here the displacement x is plotted in the x-axis, right? And work done is nothing but the net area under the fx graph. Okay, so over here we have to find the area first. Okay, so for the first part the particle is moving from x equal to 0 to x equal to 8. Okay, so when the particle moves from x equal to 0 to our x equal to 8, so let us calculate the net area under the graph. Okay, so first of all let us see that from x equal to 0 to x equal to 8 there will be two rectangles, right? One rectangle this and the other rectangle is this. Okay, so that means our net area will be equal to the area of the first rectangle plus the area of the second rectangle. So for the first rectangle we can see that the base is spanning from, so for the first area we can easily see that the length is actually spanning from x equal to 0 to x equal to 5, right? So that means the length will be of 5 units multiplied by, right? So over here the breadth will be from x equal to 0 to x equal to 20, right? So that means this is the breadth. So what will be the breadth? 20. Okay, why? What is the area? Length into breadth, so that means 5 times of 20 plus. Similarly, okay, you can easily see it is spanning from, the second area is spanning from x equal to 5 to x equal to 8, so that means breadth is r, so that means length is r 3, and what is our breadth? Breadth is from x equal to 0 to x equal to 10, so that means 10. So first area comes out to be 100 plus 30, so this is equal to 130. So that means what they are asking? They are asking the velocity of the object at x equal to 8. Okay, so now what is work done? Work done is nothing but the change in the kinetic energy, right? And what is the change in kinetic energy? It means that final kinetic energy minus the initial kinetic energy. So over here you can see that, clearly see that the initially the body is at rest, right? So that means there will be no velocity of the body, so that means initial kinetic energy will be 0. Okay, so that means, so this will be equal to the final kinetic energy minus 0, so this will be equal to work done, which is 130. And what will be the final kinetic energy? Half into m times of v square, so this will be equal to 130. The body mass is given to be 500 gram. In SI unit it will be half a kilogram, right? So that means half times of v square, so this will be equal to your 130. So from here our actual velocity comes out to be under root of 4 times of 130. So velocity comes out to be twice under root of 130. So from here approximately equal to 23 meter per second. So that means our first part answer will be nothing but from x equal to 0 to x equal to 8, our answer will be nothing but 23 meter per second. Okay, so that means over here, see, option number 1 is easily cancelled, option number 2 is also cancelled, so our answer will lie between option number 3 and option number 4. Always proceed with option elimination, that gives a lot of range to you. Okay, So that means the object is now moving from x equal to 0 to x equal to 12 meter. Okay, so first of all again we have to find the net area. Okay, so that means the net area will be, so net area will be this area plus this area, okay, minus this area. Why minus? Because anything that is lying under the x-axis will be taken as minus. Okay, so that means over here we'll take this area to be negative, because it is not contributing in the development of velocity, it is actually retarding the velocity. So that's why anything below the x-axis will be kept as negative. Okay, and plus this area, right? So that means this will be a1 plus a2 minus a3 plus a4. Hope I'm clear with this. Okay, so that means the net area A will be, so what is your a1 we calculated, it was 100 units, right? Recall 100 units. What is a2 we calculated was 30 units, right? Minus what will be a3 will be this net area. Okay, so over here you can easily calculate this area, and this area is actually come out to be minus of 48.75. okay, plus of a4. Now what is a4 will be from x equal to 10 to x equal to 12, so base will be 2 units and height will be 10 units, so that means plus 20. So from here you can easily get the value of the net area, and the net area will correspond to the net work done. So this will correspond to the net change in the kinetic energy. So this will be final kinetic energy, that is half mv square minus initial kinetic energy. So from here on, putting the value of the area, you can easily find the velocity of the body. So okay, so I'm leaving you a homework in this question. Do solve this question, post it in the comment box, and if you have any doubts, feel free to ask in the comment section. I'll be more than happy for you to answer.